What's going on, guys? It is Friday, September 22nd, 2023, otherwise known as National Ice Cream Cone Day. Go get yourself a nice fresh scoop of whatever your favorite kind of ice cream is. Make sure you get it on a cone instead of a bowl or a cup today and enjoy that. Another great thing about today, it is the legendary Bob Sapp's birthday. Happy birthday, Bob Sapp, one of the pioneers of MMA both in Japan and the US, a huge legend, Bob Sapp. But as I said last week, most important thing about Friday is the day after Thursday night football. And man, oh man, did we have a terrible game last night. It was absolutely hard to watch as the San Francisco 49ers destroyed the New York Giants by a score of 30-12. The Niners just dominated from start to finish, made it look easy. They moved to 3-0 on the year, while the New York Football Giants fall to 1-2 on the year. And man, it might be time to close the book on this New York Giants season because man, they are horrible, horrible, awful. Uh, Danny Dimes yesterday, 22 of 32, 137 yards, one interception, and two sacks. I believe Darius Slayton was their leading receiver with 32 receiving yards. Obviously, Saquon Barkley didn't play, which is a huge hit to their offense, but still, just how bad that offensive line has been all year long is a huge story. They should be 0-3 if we're being honest. They're lucky they came back against a crappy Cardinals team. This Giants team is absolutely awful, and until that O line gets fixed, their offense is not going to be able to do anything all year long. They give up pressure almost instantly. They can't pass block, they can't run block. They just got five big guys out there standing on the field, and it's just really kind of pathetic, especially if you're a Giants fan, to see an offense be that bad. If you're a San Francisco 49ers fan, you have to feel great about how your season's gone thus far. Three really easy victories. Brock Purdy's looked fantastic. Last night he was 25 of 37 for 310 yards and two touchdowns. The offense was just really clicking in general. Christian McCaffrey had 18 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown, while Deebo Samuel had six catches, 129 yards and a touchdown. They didn't have Brandon Ayuk last night, and that wasn't a problem. Seventh round pick rookie Ronnie Bell out of, I believe they said Michigan. Uh, he had himself a touchdown last night. He looked good. He really filled the holes of Ayuk. And, that 49ers team just dominated. I was kind of hoping to have more to talk about on this game. Unfortunately, it was so lopsided, it just makes it a little bit tough to talk about. If you're 49ers, your next three games are at home against the Cardinals, at home against the Dallas Cowboys, and at the Cleveland Browns. It's a nice little stretch for you. You will move to 4-0 next week with an easy win over the Cardinals. Dallas, thoughts and prayers to those guys. Travion Diggs out for the season with a torn ACL. Massive hit to their defense, massive hit to their Super Bowl chances. But as we know, it's still only week three. A lot of injuries are still coming for this season, unfortunately. And, at the end of the day, it's whoever can be the healthiest and the best team. And every other team could just be an injury away from being at the same spot the Cowboys are. And like I said, after they play Dallas, they're at Cleveland, who just lost Nick Chubb for the year due to a gruesome injury. With that said, the Niners are absolutely rolling, and they should be looking good for the next several weeks. Meanwhile, if you're the Giants, next week you're at home against Seattle, who's really been cooking. Their offense looks good, and then after that, you're at Miami and at Buffalo, as you have to play two of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL with Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa. Giants, it's time for you to wave the surrender flag. Your season is officially over. I believe you will be 1-5 after those first six games. That's awful. Hope you guys find an offensive lineman you guys enjoy in the draft because that's what you guys desperately need. Maybe a receiver, maybe even a quarterback, depending how you feel about Daniel Jones. But it's tough to evaluate all of those other positions when your offensive line can't do anything. So, moving on from that, we are about to be joined by a very special guest, Ty Pape, the creator of the Poppy Parlay, otherwise known as the PP for all of our UFC fans out there. He's going to join me to recap the Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko 2 fight, as well as give you his parlay for the week as we discuss this upcoming UFC card headlined by lightweights Rafael Fiziev and Matthias Gamrot. So without further ado, with a little bit of editing magic, we'll be joined by Poppy here in a second. What's up, guys? We are joined by the creator of the PP, Ty Poppy himself. Last week, the PP, depending who you ask, it hit, it may not have hit. It was really dependent on that last leg, which was the draw between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. Poppy, what were your initial thoughts on that decision?
You know, I'm biased. I had the parlay with Shevchenko, so I thought she won. In all honesty, that's my unbiased opinion, but biased opinion, she won 48-47.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Personally, I scored it 48-47 for Grasso. I thought Grasso won rounds 2, 4, and 5. It's basically when you look at the judges' scorecards, Janiro Camino had it 48-47 in favor of Grasso, while Sal D'Amato had it 48-47 in favor of Valentina. And then the most important one, Mike Bell, scored it 47-47, a draw due to a 10-8 round in favor of Grasso at the end there. What was your thoughts on that 10-8 decision? Did you think that fifth round was enough for a 10-8?
I think some other which announcers said it, but like there needs to be more 10-8s, but in a championship fight, and you know that's going to make the whole fight a draw. Maybe it's not the best time to make it a 10-8. I think that's just poor taste.
Yeah. So when you look at the judges' scorecards, it looks like round four was the big swing round between there. I personally scored that fourth round in favor of Grasso due to the knees she landed in the clinch. I thought that was a big swing there. Both Juniro Camijo and Mike Bell actually excuse me, both Sal D'Amato and Mike Bell actually gave that fourth round to Valentina. But due to the 10-8 for Grasso in the last round, Mike Bell's scorecard even out. The more that I've actually thought about this decision, the more I think I actually like it as a whole from the judges. It's been pretty split between a lot of people thinking it was 48-47 in favor of Grasso, or the other half saying 48-47 in favor of Shevchenko, to the point that I think a draw was the right call, as there's no truly conclusive way that we can say this person fairly won, especially when it comes down to such small details in that fourth round.
That's what it's all about. It's all about who's the best. No one wants the top two people to tie. We need a winner. And it's the judge's responsibility to do that. And who would have thought it's Sal D'Amato not screwing everyone?
Yes, it could have been Sal, but I think ultimately his scorecard was wrong as well. Another interesting fight to note of was Jack Della Maddalena and Kevin Holland meeting up in the co-main event. I thought that was a pretty fun scrap between those two. What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, same thing. It was pretty good fight, pretty even, as I think most people projected. Jack, he's just a legit boxer. There's nothing more about it. He's the real deal. He's shown that throughout his other fights, knocking out people, but top competition did it again.
Yeah, and when you look at the numbers on that fight, Holland was really active, but that may have also hurt him, as his accuracy wasn't super great throughout that fight. Meanwhile, Jack had a lot more accuracy, and his strikes landed more. You could argue who the power shots favored. Holland also did a lot of work to the body with those front teep kicks and such. But yeah, I think ultimately Jack was probably the right call there, but it was a very close fight, and I thought it was a very entertaining fight. What do you want to see next for Jack Della Maddalena moving forward?
I mean, it's tough to say right now. I say maybe on the edge of that top 3-5 range is kind of the fight he deserves. He's still one or two fights away from a title fight, but and I think he needs a KO also. Last two fights have been decisions. Dude needs a KO to wake people up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. You kind of look at this welterweight division right now, and it's definitely very stalled out. They just announced that Leon and Colby Covington will be fighting for the title in December. Hopefully, that will begin to move the division forward, as we've seen guys like Usman, Bilal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov. They've just kind of all been very stagnant, not really picking up any fights. Nothing's really been scheduled there, so we'd like to see the division move forward, and maybe some of those guys take on some guys ranked underneath them. But moving forward, we have an upcoming great event headlined by Rafael Fiziev taking on Matthias Gamrot in the lightweight division. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't bring you the world famous PP this week. Poppy, what are the three names on that PP this week?
So for the Poppy parlay, another lot coming. Last week, my bookie said I won. This week, my bookie's gonna tell me I win again. We got Mo Usman fighting Jake Collier. Dude's a bum. Mo Usman, 2 wins in the UFC. He's gonna do it again, first round knockout, but we're just betting money line. Second leg, Brian Battle. Again, look good. His career's kind of been up and down, but he's kind of on the up and up. I don't think he has that tough of competition this weekend either. And then a third, Thug Nasty. My boy, he's going to be repping the camo shorts. Bryce Mitchell ending the parlay.
Yes. The parlay this week will be plus 298 for those three: Mo Usman, Brian Battle, and Bryce Mitchell. You definitely have a certain tough vibe on there when you look at Mo Usman, Brian Battle, two guys that have recently come out of the Ultimate Fighter, and I believe Bryce Mitchell was also an Ultimate Fighter alumni on there.
Mhm.
Certainly an interesting one. Um, my big tickets for this week I have are Andre Fiallo by KO at plus 100, Rafael Fiziev by decision at plus 250, and then Jake Collier by decision plus 400. I'm going to touch on the Collier one here first, as I expect us to get into the other two here shortly. Yeah, and ultimately it just comes down to the fact that I just don't think that either of these two heavyweights are ultimately all that skilled, and I think when it goes down to the judges in a sloppy fight, anything can really happen with that.
My only take against Sherman is that his only win in the last 5 fights my only take against Collier is his only win is against Sherman, and it was in his last 5 fights. He's had some split decision losses, which make you think maybe he deserved to win those, but I think Usman's got the power. Like I said, he's on a 2 fight win streak in the UFC. I think he's coming for him.
We'll see. So jumping back up to your parlay, that final leg there was Bryce Mitchell, who was taking on Dan Ige. Bryce Mitchell making his return to action for the first time since losing his undefeated record to Ilia Topuria. This is a lot easier of a matchup in Dan Ige than what Topuria was.
You know, ironically enough, this is the leg I'm most worried about. I feel pretty confident about Usman and Dowd, but I think he's on a 2 fight winning streak. He looked good in his last fight. Mitchell came off a loss. It's been a while since he fought. I'm just a little afraid of where he is mentally.
Yeah, there's always that little bit of hesitancy anytime you look at Bryce Mitchell, as he's never had all that much formal training, kind of does a lot of things on his own. Likes to say, he's Arkansas tough, doing that farm jitsu stuff out there. It's just kind of always tough to buy into him. But when you look at what he was able to do against Edson Barbosa at UFC 262, he just really dominated him, took him down with ease, and wasn't really scared of his striking. I think Barbosa offers a lot more explosiveness and diversity in his striking than what Dan Ige is going to threaten Bryce Mitchell with. I think he should be able to control him pretty easily here for a decision. Uh, I would expect a little bit of lay and pray. I don't know how much excitement it's going to be. I don't know if he'll be able to finish Dan Ige, but I agree with you that I think Mitchell should be able to get this fight done.
I agree totally. Danny, his best weapon is his fists, but he gets taken down, which, like you said, I think it's just going to be an ugly on the ground fight where Mitchell just grounds and pounds him and they just wrestle the whole time.
Mhm. Speaking of fights or styles that make fights, you move on to the main event. Rafael Fiziev taking on Matthias Gamrot. We have the classic striker versus wrestler approach here, with Fiziev training at Tiger Muay Thai over where Valentina trains at. So does Kamzat. Has a really diverse striking game. And then you look at Matthias Gamrot, and he's just kind of a complete pressure wrestler. He's going to be always be up on your face, threatening that takedown, really looking to beat you up in the clinch and grappling. What are you thinking initially on this?
Yeah, so I've been on the Gamrot train up until now. Obviously, a known wrestler. I've won some money line bets, putting him money on him as the underdog. He's been an underdog quite a couple of his last couple fights. I like him a lot. My initial thought was he's going to win this fight. He's going to do what he's been doing. He's been the dog. But you brought up the important stat that kind of changed my mind.
Yeah, and then for me, it's that Rafael Fiziev has the highest takedown defense numbers in lightweight history. He's just shown an ability, especially when people try to shoot that single leg, he's got a great balance, just hopping around that one leg, being able to get the other one out and not get his back on the canvas. And I think that's definitely something that the Gamrot, he's gonna have to get through that. He's gonna have to find a way to get Fiziev to the canvas if he wants to win this fight. Obviously, we know how elite his wrestling ability is, knowing that he was able to beat Armin Tarsukian, who is another great wrestler in this division. But when he was matched up with Benel Dariush, Benel's also a very good wrestler, and it kind of became a striking match. And Dariush showed elite levels in his striking over Gamrot, who looked like an amateur out there. Um, Gamrot needs to show much improved striking in this fight, just for us to feel a lot more confident about his career going forward. Because if he has the inability to do what he wants on the feet. It's mixed martial arts. It's not just wrestling, and that's going to be a huge factor here.
Yeah, yeah. Could put some money on Fiziev. Minus 150 for a dude, Gamrot's only game is takedowns. Fiziev, he's got the takedown defense. Everyone and their mom knows he's gonna beat the crap out of him. He's got those hands. So go put some money on Fiziev minus 150. Honestly, I was surprised when I saw the line that's not greater than that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You look at Fiziev, he had that high profile matchup against Justin Gaethje that kind of, set him back a little bit as he lost that fight, but he still looked really good in it and was able to get combos off, land strikes. But I feel like it may have hurt his confidence a little bit. Fiziev was a guy that had so much confidence going early on in that UFC career, especially knocking off guys like Rafael Stoff's Anjos, a former champion. He was really, I don't want to necessarily say cocky going into that Gaethje fight, but he had a certain level of invincibility he felt about himself that I think now that that's worn off, I want to see how he will be in the octagon and see if he still has that edge and mentality when the cage door closes.
Hmm. Yeah, I noticed that too. It's kind of the same thing with Mitchell is if we worry about that coming off losses, how are they going to bounce back at this point? You have those guys have the skill. Mitchell and Fiziev have the skill. Now it's just a mental game of how they can pull it off.
Another thing that will be interesting about this fight is where each fighter, specifically the winner, will go from here within the 155-pound division. If Gamrot wins, the logical matchup almost would be moving him up to Dariush, but you've already done that matchup and you won't want to do that again. Yeah, they'll look at it. You can't really expect a Gaethje matchup for Gamrot nor a Dustin Poirier matchup. That division's kind of stuck in an odd spot. Chandler's in there too, waiting for McGregor, unsure what's going to happen with that. Volkanovski's looking to continually put his name in there. Logically, it kind of makes sense for Zeev to get in there. I think Poirier would maybe accept that
Hmm.
fight opposed to a Gamrot fight. Fiziev is also just a lot more viewer friendly, I would say, which I think Dana likes, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because Gamrot winning will be a little bit of a shock. And honestly, if you have Gamrot, if he's gonna win this fight, it's gonna be wrestling, and it's gonna be dominant wrestling. Like the only way I see Gamrot winning is he dominates his fight, like on the ground, up against the fence. And if he has a dominating performance, people are gonna be arguing for the top two fight. Maybe not yet a championship fight, but a top two fight at the least.
Yeah, he definitely could be a guy that maybe will be looking at the loser of the next lightweight title fight between Oliveira and Makhachev. But like I said, I just can't see guys like Gaethje or Poirier willingly fighting Gamrot, especially if he's coming off a dominant wrestling decision.
No, that's where, like you said, Dana probably hopes Fiziev wins. Fiziev Poirier, that's lightning.
Yeah. Speaking of lightning, last night slash early this morning, depending where you're at, Dana came through with three big fight announcements. The first of which, the co-main event for UFC's event at Madison Square Garden in November, will be the returning former light heavyweight champion Yuri Prochazka taking on the former middleweight champion Alex Pereira. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I mean, it's also in the fight. I'm a big Alex Pereira guy. I love him. It's gonna be interesting. He barely won his last fight, but it's gonna be a fun stand-up fight. You got karate versus kickboxing. What's not to like about that?
Yep, and then of course the other two big ones he announced in December, a UFC going back to the T-Mobile Center in Vegas, headlined by Colby Covington taking on Leon Edwards for the welterweight strap, and then the flyweight title will also be defended as Alexander Pantoja takes on Brandon Royval. What do you think of that card thus far through those two fights?
Really those three, especially the Edwards Covington fight. I think that's what everyone's been waiting for. Covington, America's boy, Donald Trump's boy, back in action versus the Brit. It's going to be hype. There's going to be a lot of trash talk. There's probably going to be that U.S. versus U.K. fight, and then the uh, Royale Pantoja fight. That's another just like going to be exciting. Those are the like two of the most exciting um, featherweight fighters they got.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an exciting one. This is the first time in flyweight history, not first, excuse me, first time in recent memory for the flyweights that Brandon Moreno has not been involved in a title fight. You think of his epic four fights he had with Figueiredo. He also had that intern title fight against Kai Kara France. He's finally out of the picture. We got some relatively new names. Pantoja's a dog. Royval's a dog. He had a great knockout in his last fight against Matthias Nicolau. He definitely earned that number one contendership. I am super excited for these. Dana's doing a great job closing out the year strong. I want to send a huge shout out to Poppy over here for joining us on the show. It's been an honor. Hopefully, try to get him on as often as possible as he will continue to bring you the Poppy Parlay every single week. Assuming it continues to win. If he ever goes on a cold streak, we'll see if he continues to join us. But hey, we want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. They put some money on it. It's a lock.
Thank you, Ty, for joining us for a great segment on the UFC there. That's his first time doing a podcast. I know he was a little bit, had some nerves on him, had a few mistakes he made, but that's what's going to happen as you continue to learn. Expect him to continually come on as we do this show and give some more UFC opinions and such. And I expect him to continue to grow as a podcaster as well as just in speaking as he continues to do that show. But he's a very insightful UFC fan, really knows what he's talking about. It was only a week or two ago that on Tapology he was top 150 in the world in terms of predictions. Me and him both really absolutely love that sport and something we continue to talk about. So make sure you guys show him love and appreciation. But moving on to this weekend, we got some huge plays out there in the college football and NFL world. To recap, last week our college football plays went 2-1 thanks to a huge win by the BYU Cougars. I'm absolutely thrilled how that one played out. I expected KJ Jefferson to turn over the ball, and he did. Absolutely huge win for those guys. Meanwhile, the NFL went 2-2. I had a bad one on Monday night. Unfortunately, the Browns couldn't get it done, but the Commanders looked real good over the Broncos. And we got some more plays coming for you this weekend, starting off with TCU minus 6.5 against SMU. I'm just really buying into the play of TCU's quarterback Chandler Morris right now. He's had a great play outside of, a few throws against Colorado where he made some interceptions. And I think he's the guy that's just going to really power this TCU offense past SMU. SMU did cover against Oklahoma a few weeks ago, but that was a spread of around 17, and this spread is closer to 7. I have it at 6.5 here, and when it's adjusted as such, I still expect TCU to be able to win by a touchdown. They're just a better team. They're more athletic and they're better coached. TCU's current coach, Sonny Dykes, used to be at SMU. He kind of knows the culture there, knows what it's like. But yeah, TCU should win this one, and they should cover minus 6.5. Staying in the Big 12, I also am going to go with West Virginia money line plus 90 against Texas Tech. Um, I haven't been very impressed by Texas Tech's quarterback play. Tyler Shaw, he's got 4 picks, 9 sacks. They've really been able to make him comfortable at all. Meanwhile, West Virginia's defense has already forced 5 interceptions on the year. I think those spell good numbers for what West Virginia is going to be able to do to slow down that Texas Tech offense. When you also think about it, West Virginia is one of the best home fields in college football. They get real rowdy. They like to have fun. Last week against Pitt, they were just absolutely electric, and again, a huge win there. And I just look to West Virginia to control the tempo and the clock with their running game here. They've been able to run the football very well through the first 3 weeks of the season, and I expect them to be able to do that, especially at home. Give me West Virginia money line plus 190. Following up that, we have another dog money line that we're going to take, and that's going to be Washington State money line plus 130. Cam Ward is a great quarterback for Washington State, one of the best in the country, but that's not the reason we're taking Washington State. In fact, we are more so fading Oregon State, as I am not a fan of their quarterback, and forgive me for this one. DJ Og- I can't say it, guys. It's a tough last name. DJ Ogamaloli. I butchered that. I know I did, but I just don't buy into him. I thought he was a bad quarterback at Clemson. I'm still not buying into him here at Oregon State. When it comes down to having two quarterbacks that are the heart and soul of your team, I'm taking the one that's better. Give me Cam Ward. Give me Washington State money line plus 130. I think that should be a good game regardless. The Pac-12 has been absolutely loaded with stacked football teams this year. They're the best conference, and I'm glad to see them having some hype around them before that conference folds completely. And then my last play for Saturday in the college football realm will be Nevada plus 17 and a half. Nevada really started the season slow the first 2 weeks, but last week they found a little bit more steam against Kansas. That offense showed signs of being able to move the football and being able to score the football. They kept it within 18 in that game, and KU's a lot better of a team than Texas State is. Their offense is a lot more lethal. Jalen Daniels is a better quarterback than what Texas State has. I'm not expecting Nevada to get their first win of the season here, but I am expecting them to cover 17 and a half. That's a very big spread, especially for a team like Texas State, who is not a dominant football team by any means and never really has been. Um, Hopefully Nevada can get that done there. But what I saw last week against Kansas definitely showed me signs of a team that's getting better weekly for Nevada. Then moving over to Sunday in the NFL, we got three plays over there. The first of which will be the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Does Vegas know what they're doing with the Tennessee Titans? Do I know what I'm doing with the Tennessee Titans? Maybe not. Last week I faded them against the Chargers, but they won in overtime. And last week I also took the Browns against the Steelers, and that didn't work out so well. The Browns are once again the favorite at home. They did lose Nick Chubb for the year, though, so you're going to see a little bit more running from Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, and a lot more reliance on Deshaun Watson to make some plays. I'm just not super sold on that. I thought that I liked the Browns after week one, but after week two, I'm not sure I do like them anymore. The Titans are still a very mediocre football team, but what they were able to show late against the Chargers, they probably could have lost that game, made a late run, got it to overtime, and eventually won that game. Tannehill's played some pretty safe football, all things considered. I just like the Titans plus 3.5 here to get the cover, and I honestly think they could get the win as well. But I'm going to take the spread on this one. The next game I'm going to take is going to be the New England Patriots minus 2.5. They are on the road at the New York Jets. Bill Belichick owns the New York Jets. Bill Belichick owns Zach Wilson. This game should be a simple game. I think it should be a lock, personally. I won't quite go that far to make it a multiple unit play, but Bill Belichick's a guy that's going to have multiple defensive schemes ready to rush the quarterback, as we've seen all season long. That New York Jets O line has been dog shit, and I expect guys like Christian Barmore to get in there for New England and make his day a lot tougher. And Bill always has some interesting schemes. As we saw last week, he implemented the runner on a field goal block. And if you actually watch the other side of that field goal block, the guy on the end actually kind of flares out to be in position for the deflection. However, it did take a bad bounce, didn't fall to that guy, but you can see how Bill schemes things up and how his football mind works. And he's always kind of been a defensive guy. That's where he takes a lot of pride, despite having Tom Brady and a dominant offense for so long. Defense is what Belichick cares about the most, in my opinion. And I think he's defensively just going to shut down this Jets team. Patriots minus 2.5. And then lastly, I'm going to take Seattle minus 5.5. Carolina is not expected to have Bryce Young this week, so it looks like Andy Dalton will be taking charge for the Panthers. The Panthers' offense isn't that bad. Miles Sanders is a pretty solid running back when you have guys like Adam Thielen and Hayden Hurst. Those are reliable hands. But Seattle's offense is just elite. Geno Smith is a great quarterback who's been able to put the ball in some great spots. last year and this year. And then when you look at guys having DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, man, those are some really elite receivers, and you got to have three solid corners if you want to be able to stop all three of those guys. And I just don't think that Carolina has that in them right now. And then when you add Kenneth Walker to the mix, who is back this year, he is healthy after an injury last year. I mean, Seattle is a great team. They're at home. You know, the 12th fan in Seattle is strong. I think this will be an easy win for Seattle. I think this will be an easy cover for Seattle. The Seahawks, man, they're a great team. I love Geno Smith, but Carolina, the only way they can win this game is if they can get a lot of pressure on Geno. If Brian Burns can get in there for 3 or 4 sacks, which I know is a high number, but I think that's truly what it's going to take for them to get it done, as I just don't think that offense is good enough to be able to overcome it all. So I'll make sure that I put this week's plays up here on the screen, and I'll also have a recap of what last week's plays were so you can see our record as well as tracking our units. I hope you guys tail these picks this weekend. I was making money last week. I hope to make you guys money this week, and we'll continue. We can do this every single week. Hopefully, I'll be back on Monday, bearing any more laptop issues like we saw earlier this week, to preview Monday Night Football. Hopefully, have a few plays there. I'd really appreciate if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Some of the games you are excited for this weekend. We have some high-profile games. You see Ohio State's playing Notre Dame, as well as Colorado and Oregon. Those games will be exciting games. They'll be great games, but they are games that I just kind of wanted to stay away from as I have a little bit of uncertainty. I would expect Ohio State to win, as I just don't know if Marcus Freeman can get it done in the big game. And I would probably, that Oregon Colorado game, that's going to be tough, man. I saw Colorado's money line is plus 650, which is great value for them, but Oregon's obviously a lot better of a team going into this one, but we'll see how Colorado reacts, especially not having Travis Hunter. I'm excited, guys. Should be a great week of football. Nebraska's got Louisiana Tech on Saturday. I'll be at that game. I'm a little bit bummed they play around the same time that Manchester United plays. That's going to be a tough one. Nebraska, I believe, is a 21-point favorite, which is a huge spread. Wouldn't be shocked if Louisiana Tech covers that one as well. I'm hoping Henrik Hardberg plays well. But I'll be back on Monday, guys. I appreciate the love. Remember, stay blessed.